What's going on, guys? Quinn69 here. How you guys doing today? As you can see, I'm logged into my monk, and I'm going to be bringing you guys a guide on the healing monk. This is the new meta for support monks and really high greater rifts. It's extremely viable, and currently we're actually the top support that exists. I mean, barbarians are competing for our spot, but we have a really broken mechanic. And that is, we can increase the healing of everyone in the group to up to and over 1 million life per second. So as you can see, my barbarian here, he has 800k life. I'm literally healing his entire health pool 1.2 times every second. So he has to be killed 1.2 times to actually die. Otherwise, it does happen if he gets hit by Molten, or if he gets hit by multiple sledge attacks at the same time, like burst damage, he will die. But, you know, I don't even think this is a greater of 70, and I don't even think he drops below, like, 50% the entire rift. You see whenever he does take a hit, it just instantly goes straight back up. It's a pretty cool build. The monk himself, you're using a shield and everything, so you're like a tank. You're pretty much immortal. I mean, I have cheat death on, but I haven't procced it the entire time I've been playing the spec. It's probably actually a bad passive, really. But as you get into the really high greater rifts, so like beyond, you know, GR75 plus, this is just a 2-man GR70. It's pretty early on this. This is era. This is the new era. This is actually a rank 1 clear, but you know, 2-man's going to go way higher than 70, and then I think cheat death will be used. So let's go over how the build works. Basically, you're stacking a bunch of abilities that increase your life per second, and then that in turn increases the amount Mantra of Healing heals the entire party for. So you're using Blinding Flash, Soothing Light, so that's the blind I'm using on cooldown. It just gives everyone who gets hit by the Blinding Flash increased life per second, and obviously you get, the Blinding Flash hits you, so you get more life per second, then increases your Mantra, and obviously it double dips, so if you can hit the person with the increased life per second, then you increase your own life per second, that increases the Mantra, so the person who get, you know, they're getting even more LPS, basically. I'm just going to start calling it LPS from now on, so LPS is life per second. We are then using Enduring Ally, Mystic Ally, so that just increases life per second. That obviously scales with your current LPS. So you can see the Soothing Light, which scales with LPS, is then multiplying the Enduring Ally, and they both synergize with each other. We're then using Mantra of Healing Sustenance. That's the increased healing rune, and you know, that's what's healing the entire group. This is what the entire build revolves around, and that's obviously increasing your LPS. Which is then, the Mantra of Healing is actually multiplied by your Inners set as well, because Inners doubles the base value of your Mantras. And on top of that, you're also using Crudest Boots, which doubles the value of the LPS of your Enduring Ally, which is just straight increasing your LPS. So you're getting, as you can see, you're getting a lot of life per second. When I get into town, I'll show you my LPS. It's going to blow you guys' minds. I actually have so much that it doesn't fit on the character sheet. I decided to delay making this build. I wanted this build to go under the radar until the PTR finished, because it was monks, you know, it was like my backup plan. This build is the backup plan for monks. So if we're not the top DPS next season, which is looking that's going to be the case, at least we can play support and really high 4-man greater rifts, 3-man greater rifts, and 2-man greater rifts, and still we will be able to compete on the leaderboards as a monk, you know, outside of the solo bracket. So the gameplay is pretty simple. What you want to be doing is you're going to be going around and creating density for your barbarian, and you've got to be constantly putting inner sanctuaries on your barbarian. So the whole time you're just cycloning everything together, and then you want to be dropping your inner sanctuary on your barbarian. And really, if you're doing really high greater rifts, your barb can get literally one-shot by so many things, because they're pretty squishy, and that's why they need the healer monk. And that's what makes them like really powerful. So you're just, the whole time, you're just running around. You see I'm just running around trying to pull everything together, and then just putting my inner sanctuary down. You have to either track them via the minimap or just look for their little green bar, because when you've got a really dense map, it's really hard to see, and you've got to kind of try to, you don't do what I just did. See, I just ported over and just left my barbarian. He was smart and he was really quick and he ran to me. If you do that, if he gets out of range of a Mantra, he's just going to snap, because all his recovery is coming from the monk. All his survivability. The second you go out of range of your barbarian, he just dies like a little rat, because you're carrying him, because you're like a god healer monk that's just giving him crazy crazy life per second. Okay, that's awkward. I'm getting a Skype request. Cool. We'll just ignore that. Then you can also, I don't really do it that much because you have very limited spirit. If you're in a really defensive situation and everyone in the group's having a hard time surviving, and you also want to activate your mantra of healing, it's a very small shield, but sometimes every little bit of healing helps. If you fully stack your gear with Health Globe, you can actually get that shield over 100k. So that you press that button, everyone in the group gets a 100k shield. It's pretty decent for the amount of spirit cost it is. You've also then got to use, make sure you've got Cyclone Strike at least pressing it every 4 seconds, because you're going to be using the talent Resolve, so you've got to be constantly debuffing everyone on the screen with the 20% damage reduction. And on top of that, it also procs your Strong Arm Braces, which is 30% damage for the group, and it also procs your Gem Efficacious Toxin. So basically just keep hitting your Psych. Don't just run around hitting Mantra of Healing. You need to actually, you don't just Cyclone to pull things in, then start spamming Mantra of Healing. You've got to keep pressing Cyclone Strike, like, at least every 4 seconds. But otherwise, that's it. Literally, just go in there, tank the monsters, make sure you skip density. Also, you don't have dashing strike, so you're going to have to get used to teleporting around with just the Epiphany teleport. As you can see here, it's kind of... Actually, no, we're actually finding that. It's sometimes it can be kind of awkward on these skinny maps where you kind of get bottlenecked. But otherwise, it's pretty simple. Let's get into the gear anyway. If you want, you can watch the rest of this rift. I'll post the rest of this GR70 at the end of this guide, and you guys can watch it so you can get a little bit more of insight into the gameplay of the Healer Monk. But otherwise, let's go over the gear, boys. There's been a development. So in the time that I was creating that guide, we actually managed to work out, like I was testing an alternative spec, which I thought was going to be subpar, but it turns out it's actually 10 times better. So instead of using Leoric's Crown on the cube, I switched it out to the Laws of Seth. And no one on the leaderboards, no one on the PTR was using this, and it's basically really strong. You can see here, if you look, every time I blind, it gives me like 165 spirit. And because I'm using Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, it basically means I'm able to spam, you know, Blinding Flash. And this means I have just infinite spirit, which means my Cyclone, I can just mash it as much as I want. And on top of that, I'm actually able to spam my mantra. So like you can see, I've got my Inner Sanctuary up, I got my Epiphany up, and I'm literally able to spam it. And I just, my mana, or spirit, should I say, is totally just fine. So if you min-max your gear to have Health Globe, you can make the shield, that's your mantra shield, go for more than 100k. And you know, you can use mantra of healing 3 times a second. So that means you're effectively adding 300k life per second to the entire group. And on top of that, that mantra of healing is also overhealing. So you can see here, like, okay, it's not stacking up. The main reason I have a big shield is because of the gizzard. But when I press this, it does add on. So I mean, it adds on to your group, which is really powerful. Pretty cool, boys. Pretty cool. So we just made a development for the build. I was considering hiding this, but I decided, actually, you know what? I'm not going to save this for seasons. People are going to work it out. So let's just get it out there, boys. And you can see here, my life is specking. It says 400k, but it's actually, if you look at it, 1.8 million. 1.8 million life per second. That's every time I blind. Filthy. And obviously that's going to turn into my mantra of healing, and then it's just going to go to the entire group, and everyone's going to be unkillable. So that's cool. We found something out. We found something out, boys. So, the gear you want to use, guys. I'm using a Born's Furious Wrath. As you can see, the Born's weapon, the way you can craft it, you can actually craft it in such a way that you roll the damage range off the weapon, and you actually get an extra stat. Because we're not doing any damage, you don't need to worry about damage range. You can effectively get free affix on your weapon, which means you can get more survivability, you know, more resource cost reduction, whatever you want. It's really good. We're then using a Storm Shields. You want to be rolling life per second on your Storm Shields, and life. You can also get Health Globes on the secondary for your shields. The Dream one would have cooldown reduction on it now, because as of 2.3, it should technically be able to roll cooldown reduction now, or as it wouldn't have been able to back in the day. Cooldown reduction. So Storm Shield can now roll CDR. So the Dream one would have cooldown reduction and life per second, but I'd put life per second on as a priority. The Crudest Boots. So obviously the Crudest Boots are doubling the effectiveness of a Mystic Ally, which is giving us more healing. And you obviously want life per second on your boots. As well as on your pants, you want life per second on those. Those are Captain Crimson's pants. So we're using this for the cooldown reduction, and the resource cost reduction is a bonus. Life per second, obviously. We're using the Captain Crimson's belt. Life per second being the main feature. Basically, anything that can roll life per second, you want it. I won't just keep saying it. We're using in his chest, life per second. In his gloves, life per second, boys. Just more and more and more juice. We've got the rest of our Born set. We're using the Born set, obviously, for the cooldown reduction. It does come with bonus experience, which is a multiplier in Greater Rift still. It does get divided between your groups. That's an overall bonus experience group to the entire group. So that's like an added thing that you get. So your in-game build actually helps you get more experience. So you're farming experience while you're pushing, boys. GG. Life per second, boys. Life per second and cooldown reduction, obviously. And that's unique cooldown reduction on your gloves as well. We're using Inner's helmet. It's got life per second on it, boys. The necklace you can use any of the immunity amulets. So I'm using Star of Escaranth. If I did have a really, really good support Hellfire amulet, so that's the amulets which have special abilities on them. Like this one here, so I get Beacon of Yitar from this amulet. But obviously you want defensive stats. Primarily life per second and cooldown reduction on your amulet. So yeah, you could use a Hellfire amulet, or you could just use an immunity amulet. I really do like the fire one, because the only thing that could really kill this monk would be molten explosions, and this makes you immune to that, so your character just becomes a god. We're using strong arm braces, so obviously that means every time we Cyclone Strike, it debuffs the mobs so they take 30% more damage from the entire group. It's just additive damage, but it does the job. Life per second. We're using a Ring of Royal Grandeur. Unfortunately, this always rolls with attack speed and life on hit, but you know, you can roll with the cooldown reduction, which is nice. We're then using a Rogar's Huge Stone. This can be swapped out, so if you want, you can swap out Rogar's Huge Stone for an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, and then go to your cube, and you can swap the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac out to an Oculus Ring if you want to do a higher DPS setup. For the maximum, like for the best survivability in the game, this setup is really good. And a Rogar's Huge Stone can also, unlike the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, it can actually roll. You know, you can have life per second, socket, cooldown reduction, and you can also have you know. So you can basically have a life per second, whereas, you know, with the other setups you cannot. And if you actually manually equip one of these rings here, because of the way these roll, you actually cannot have cooldown reduction, and you cannot have life per second. So actually equipping an Oculus Ring is not a good idea. So yeah, you want to be using it like this, or like this. This is the best defensive setup. Obviously that means Rogar's Huge Stone basically means whenever you tank damage, it multiplies your life per second like crazy. So whenever you start getting hit, like if you're standing in a laser beam, you get to like 50%, and then your life regen out heals the damage that you're taking, and it literally makes you immortal. It's pretty cool. And the main reason I take that is because if you die, then your group dies. So this just ensures that you don't die, and that means your group doesn't die. But obviously in the Dream setup, you're gonna want to have the extra damage probably, and just try not to die. And that means you can effectively clear the rift faster than if you were using Rogar's. Cool. So that's the gear we're using. As far as legendary gems go, I'm using Gogiga Swiftness. This can be swapped out for a Esoteric Alteration, or you could swap it out for a Bane of the Stricken if you're playing Season 4. So if you guys don't know, the way Bane of the Stricken works, so obviously I'm not doing any damage, but I still stack Bane of the Stricken up, right? And if anyone else is using a Bane of the Stricken in the group, they also benefit from my Bane of the Stricken stacks. It's actually like, I don't know if this is going to get fixed. I'll post an annotation if it does get fixed. But until then, currently, your Bane of the Stricken stacks stack your group's Bane of the Stricken. So it's really, really good to kill Rift Guardians and stuff, and, you know, help kill like elites that are following you around for ages. Then we're using Molten Wildebeest Gizzard. This increases our life per second. It's mandatory. You need this gem And also that, you know, see here, after not taking damage for 4 seconds, gain an absorb shield for 200% of your life per second. So as you can see, I've got a 1.9 million shield. With all my buffs up, I have shields over 3 million. I mean, you saw before, my shield was at like 3 million or whatever. So yeah, you just get these filthy, filthy shields from using a gizzard, and on top of that, it increases the healing of the group, so it's mandatory. We're then using Gem of Efficacious Toxin. It's just a 10% additive damage, so all enemies you poison take 10% increased damage from all sources, so that's just extra damage amp for the group. If you wanted to slightly, if you wanted to use Bane of the Stricken, you could also put it instead of the Toxin, but I mean, Toxin's really nice because it's consistent and it works on everything, whereas Stricken only stacks on one monster at a time. Cool, let's go over the skills now. So we're using a Blinding Flash, Soothing Light. So basically, whenever you blind, anyone hit with the Blinding Flash gets 26k healing, and that's increased by 90% of your life per second. So that's a multiplier. So that multiplies with your LPS. So it's actually way more than 26k. You'll see here when I hit my. So I'm sitting here at what, 900k life per second. I press this, and I go to 1.3 million. So you can see that it's not just 26k. We're then using Mystic Ally, Enduring Ally. So the active ability, you press it and you heal to full life. Otherwise, it just increases your life per second, and this scales with your current LPS. So this is another LPS multiplier. It's really strong. Absolutely filthy. And you're also doubling that with the crudest boots. So you'll notice here, if you have a look at my LPS here, I'm at 900k. If I take that off, so I just changed it to Earth Ally, I go from 900k to 300. Oh, I don't know. Okay, 419k. It's really a huge chunk of your LPS. So it's mandatory part of the build. Don't get rid of it, boys. We're then using Mantra of Healing Sustenance. As you saw before with the build modification with the Blinding Flash, you can literally just, I mean, spam it, and you just press blind, and you just go to full. That just increases the LPS of the group by a ton. So you just, while you're fighting and everything, you're just gonna be like boom, 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 boom the whole time. You could even numlock this, so it's just constantly going the whole time, if you want. Then we're using Epiphany Desert Shroud. This is purely for the damage reduction. If you really are doing like speed runs or something where you're not taking much damage, you can obviously go Insight for the extra spirit regen, so you can then spam your mantra more. But the second you get beyond, like, you know, 65, 70, you're gonna need Desert Shroud for the survivability. Easy as. It's just 50% damage reduction, and it's giving you that regen you need to basically, you know, cycling things together. We're then using Cyclone Strike Implosion. So this is the large radius Cyclone Strike, 34-yard Cyclone Strike. It procs your strong arm braces. It helps you manipulate the mobsters. It's a huge part of the build. Don't remove that. It's really powerful. We're then using Inner Sanctuary Forbidden Palace purely for the 55% damage reduction and the added benefit of having 30% additive damage. So anyone who's standing inside this little circle here takes 30% more damage. So like the enemies standing inside, they take 30% more damage, and your allies take 50% reduced damage. Well, 55% actually, which is really powerful. It doubles, so it increases your healing by more than 100% when they're standing inside this circle here, because they're taking more than less than half damage, which is really powerful and huge. So if you're playing with other DPS, they need to be standing inside the circle at all times. You can have multiple circles out at the same time, obviously because you're going to have Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac proccing the whole time. This ring here. Reduce the remaining cooldown of one of your skills every time you hit with a resource spending attack. So that's going to, you know, decrease the cooldown of your Inner Sanctuary, and you can have like 3 of these up at the same time, and you know, there's heaps of room for your group to stand on that. Alright, let's go over passive skills. I'm using a Beacon of Ether, so 20% cooldown reduction, really powerful. Just lets all your cooldowns, you know, come up faster. Really good. We're using Chant of Resonance, so this reduces the cost of your mantra by 50%. So obviously, because we're generating so much spirit from Blinding Flash, you can just literally mash this thing. Obviously, this scales really well with the resource cost reduction as well. So the more RCR you can get in your gear, the better. So like I'm thinking of RCR on my gloves. If you got RCR and you know, just you can get it all over the place, because you don't really need that much VIT as the monk. you could totally afford to get resource cost reduction and more pieces of your gear. And it just means you could spam this more often. Obviously, you're looking for secondaries that increase health globe healing. Do I have any? This guy is not very well optimized, to be honest with you. I don't even think I have a single health globe. And not even on my shoulders. Yeah, so I'm going to have to re-optimize my gear next. In Season 4, you'll see a perfect setup of gear if you watch my stream. And that'll just increase, because of the shield here, so active, this is increased by 15% of your health globe healing bonus. You can stack it up to get your shields going for over 100k. We're then using Resolve. Every time you deal damage, you reduce the enemy damage by 20%. This doesn't work on all of their affixes, but it does work on some. And it does work. It works on all their auto attacks. So all of the monsters' melee hits and auto attacks, and all the bosses' auto attacks. So that's a lot of things. They kill your party, get reduced by 20%. Obviously, if they take 20% less damage, that means your healing is then 20% as effective. You know, it's really, really good. We're then using Harmony for the damage reduction. Just best defensive talent in the game. If you were to use a Hellfire Amulet, I would suggest looking into near-death experience, because you're only going to get killed by burst damage. This is going to stop burst damage from killing you. Or if you wanted to go full utility for the group, you could also use Unity. So you increase the damage of your party members by 5% additive damage. Obviously, 5% additive damage is not that much. It's really negligible. But I mean, if you get the perfect rift and nobody dies, then it's better than a defensive passive, because you're going to, increase the damage of the group, so you're going to clear the rift slightly faster. So there's that to look into. But that is the skills, the gear, the gems. Let's go over the Paragons now. The way I do it is I just max out as a support monk, so you just max out your movement speed, boom. From there, this is optional. This just gives you a little bit more maximum spirit, so it means when you're passively generating spirit, you have a higher cap, so it means you're gonna be able to do it, and like when you actually do get into combat, you're gonna be able to do a couple extra cyclones. So every time you drop combat for like 2-3 seconds, you're gonna hit full spirit, and it's gonna give you a couple extra casts of your abilities. And then just the rest into vitality, because you're just pure support. Oh my god, I've got so many Paragons on non-season. Look at that thing, 1,300, it's ridiculous. You're then going to want to go to cooldown reduction, and then attack speed, and then the rest is irrelevant, because you're not doing any damage. From here, obviously, life regen is the most important stat, because life regen increases the healing of your mantra. It's the most important stat, followed by all resist, followed by armor, followed by life percent. Obviously, these increase the effectiveness of your healing, whereas this one just, increases your maximum health, which is not... It means you're harder to kill, but it doesn't increase the effectiveness of your healing. It just means you take longer to die. As far as your other stats go, you want resource cost reduction, followed by life on it, followed by, it doesn't matter, you can go gold find or area damage. These are both dead, as you're not doing any damage, and gold find is just pointless. I almost forgot, boys, but no, the cube. I forgot to go over the cube. So, the weapon we're using is Vigilance. This doesn't proc that often, but it does create an extra inner sanctuary, reducing the damage everyone takes by 55%, which is really nice for your group. There are contenders to Vigilance, so you can go Thunder Fury, that, reduces the attack speed of the enemies by 30%, and also procs Bane of the Trapped on any, so if anyone's using Bane of the Trapped and they're not slowed, it does also slow them, so yeah, there's that. And then there's also Burning Axe of Sankus, so that gives you an Ignore Pain, so you get 50% damage reduction for 4 seconds. This thing has no internal cooldown, so that's like as far as, if you were just going for pure personal buffs, this would give you more survivability, so maybe this is an option for hardcore, but this is the best group choice. Oh, and also, there is this here. Coven's Cyterion, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You take 60% less damage from blocked attacks. This is also very viable, obviously because you're using the Storm Shield. If you're going to use this, then I would suggest rolling a block chance onto your shield as well to increase the value of this shield by a lot. But otherwise, boys, that is the guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's a pretty OP build. Fingers crossed Blizzard don't nerf it as I said, I did actually leave this guide until after the PTR because I was scared if I showed the kind of OP numbers you can get to, into the millions, that Blizzard would nerf it. So fingers crossed it doesn't get nerfed now after making this guide. So you guys enjoy it. Have a good day. If you guys want to, you can check down below for it's the written version of this guide, so you can check the the written version. I'll be updating that whenever there's developments in the meta. So every time something changes, if we work something else out, for instance, like that change I just worked out a second ago, using Laws of Seth is infinitely better than using Lyric's Crown. There is also the option, I forgot to say, this is actually another option you can use. You can switch out Laws of Seth for illusionary boots. It makes for a slightly easier to play version, so you don't get jammed, you don't get stuck, and it means you can kind of move around without dash more easily. But to be honest, the utility you gain from Laws of Seth is really unbeatable. It's really, really powerful setup. But otherwise, until next time, peace the hell out. If you guys want to, you can stay around and watch the rest of that 70 rank 1 clear. But peace out from me, and I'll see you guys later. That blue follows us. He's health on kill die, so that's good. Where can I find the build? I'm going to be making a build guide for this today. I just wanted to make sure it works and everything before I made the build guide, and we've confirmed we got rank 1 with this setup, so it works, boys. Oh man, there's 3 elite packs here. If we could get a conduit right now, that'd be so good. 3 elites. Does he just want to fight those? I guess we could just fight these. Oh, he skipped. Fuck. What is that? What is that, Palms? Oh, it's a conduit! It's a conduit, boys! It's a conduit! Oh, yes!